Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 118 today for the Belgian Grand Prix in Season 6. If you guys did miss the previous one that was uploaded just yesterday, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. It's been a long while since we've had a kind of consecutive upload on this F1 2019 career mode, so hopefully you guys appreciate that. We had a disappointing episode yesterday in terms of the result. Obviously the action was pretty damn decent, but the end of it, very frustrating here. The first time really ever I felt like, you know, it's been completely out of my hands in terms of the luck we had. It was just seemingly a weird glitch with the game. I'm going to call it more of an engine failure because it's kind of nicer to call it that rather than just a glitch with the game, but obviously we know it's a bit of a glitch. But yeah, the engine shut down mid-race. I don't know what went on there, and we were forced to retire the car because there was no point going on. There's no point wearing out the engine any more than we were already, and so that was a DNF at Hungary, and obviously Weber went on to get a podium in third place, Verstappen some decent points, and so we're back to nearly square one where we were just after the French Grand Prix, where we have a lot of work to do, and I almost need to once again go out and guarantee myself a win this race, which is going to be difficult because the Belgian Grand Prix, obviously straight line speed is important, slipstream's important, and this Renault is down on power, even at full power when it's not shut down halfway. And to make things even more interesting at the start of this episode, we've got a shock driver transfer midway through this season. It's been a long while since we've had one. Unfortunately, Codemasters patched the driver transfers and made them less frequent after, I think, Season 2 of this career mode, which I really wish they didn't. So it's been a while since we've had a mid-season driver transfer. It's a bit of a shock one, really, because George Russell has moved to Red Bull Racing and Lance Stroll the other way to Ferrari there, which is very odd, because Russell, obviously, as of late, has been doing better than Verstappen ever since the British Grand Prix. So, I don't know, in many ways, I guess, maybe it makes sense, because Russell's now looking like the better driver in a way than Verstappen, and Red Bull now are the better car. So maybe Russell's jumped ship to get in a better car. Equally, at the same time, Lance Stroll technically has more points than Russell this season, because he's been more consistent in kind of slower Red Bull. So maybe Ferrari wanted Stroll to be more consistent in the car compared to Russell, who's been very inconsistent so far, up until the British Grand Prix. Either way, it's a big swap because both these teams are at the forefront of this season, along with us and myself and Weber at Renault. So it's going to make a difference perhaps in the race in terms of seeing Russell in the Red Bull. Is that going to nerf him potentially in the next few episodes, since the straight line speed of the Red Bull is very, very poor? We know that. And is Stroll going to be any good in the Ferrari? That'll be another question to answer there. Coupling that with the issues we've had personally in the last episode, it makes this thing very, very interesting going into this one. So let's go to Saturday and see how we do over one lap around Spa.
It's qualifying time at Spa, one of the mightiest tracks on the Formula One calendar. Long straights, up and downhill, Eau Rouge as well. This track isn't for the faint-hearted. Now then, Anthony Davidson, you're not getting any younger, but you have been involved in your fair share of qualifying sessions in an illustrious 30-year career. How do you deal with the pressure when you have that one chance to deliver a perfect lap?
It's not so much about dealing with the pressure. It's more about how you approach the risk and just how much of it are you willing to take. You're constantly balancing the car on the edge of grip from braking, cornering and traction. And over the course of a lap, it's easy to get that balance wrong. And that's why achieving the perfect lap is almost impossible. As you say, I've been doing this 30 years now, and it never gets any easier.
So it's pretty gloomy here then as we start our Saturday now qualifying here at Spa-Francorchamps. Thankfully though, no rain in sight, I think, on the indicator, so just looking a little bit depressing, but hopefully the rain will stay away because we had enough of that, to be honest, at the Hungarian Grand Prix. But a bit of an oversteer moment here, and the car feeling a little bit odd and really just not as planted as I was hoping it would through some of these corners. To say that that's where our advantage is in the corners rather than straights. You can see having a massive tank slap and drifting the car through, but still actually found some pace there. Sector 2, the time didn't look too bad there on the top left when I looked at it compared to Verstappen. And across the line, it's going to be P1, provisional pole. So, very, very odd. So, I must have been going faster than I thought I was whilst drifting through in Sector 2. I guess the other corners were pretty decent, or must have been in comparison to that. But, yeah, that was a very wild one. And then we go out for a second flyer. Only 2 available to us here at Spa because it's such a long lap. But once again, I've done this for a second time now in a row. I've mistakenly timed this horrendously. nicely, and we've cut it off. Thankfully, this time, I actually maintain what is a very shock pole position for me, because we only finish up 300ths ahead of Max Verstappen there, which is so fine. So thank our lucky stars we get pole there. That's mega close. But you can see there then, 6/10 then to Charles Leclerc in a surprise Haas in third place. The Red Bulls are nowhere to be seen down in P11 and 12, which I guess, you know, they're pretty poor in a straight line, I know, but they've still got the speed in the corners. And Weber is 7/10 off in P4, so a very weird qualifying. I feel like the AI didn't really, you know, something went wrong there basically with the game, and the AI just didn't get some laps done, or the simulated times weren't there for whatever reason. I can't really, you know, explain it much better than that, really, but it's very close between myself and Verstappen, so I think whatever happens in the race between me and Max is going to be very close contested, but I would suspect the likes of Weber and even the Red Bulls are going to come back in this race, and that's not their true pace when we actually get to racing in the Grand Prix. But for us, it's a very odd situation to get pole but not feel like the car was performing too well during the lap, so I hope that kind of goes away in the race and we feel comfortable during the Grand Prix, but we're going to have to see about that. So let's go to the grid and see how we do. Off pole though, we have a very good chance. We have to try and make the most of it, of trying to get as many points as we can on Verstappen and Weber.
In the 48 races held at Spa between 1950 and 2015, the race winner has only started from pole position on 16 occasions. Qualifying yesterday may have set the order for today, but expect the unexpected here at the Belgian Grand Prix. As the saying goes, of course, anything can happen. And you know what? It usually does. So here we are once again, ready to go racing through the Ardennes Forest. 4.35 miles of long straights, fast corners and massive elevation changes. It makes this not only one of the most exciting circuits on the calendar, but one that makes for some consistently high quality racing as well. Simply put it, there really is no place quite like Spa. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix, and we're just discussing the new driver lineup. Why don't we get things rolling by talking about George Russell? They've just moved to Red Bull. How do you think they'll get on?
Well, it's definitely a step up for them, and if they can rise to the challenge of competing at a higher level, it could turn out to be a very smart signing. And with the way the team's car has been performing recently, I'm sure they jumped at the chance to drive it.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. The engineer lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Weber, Daniel Ricciardo, and Norris, Hamilton, Stroll, Giovinazzi, and George Russell, Butler, Gasly, Nico Hülkenberg, and Kvyat, Raikkonen, Bottas, Sergio Perez, and Roman Grosjean. Vettel and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So it's an unfamiliar sight for us then on pole position. No one ahead of us apart from the safety car there. In terms of strategy here around Spa, the sun is out here, so definitely no chance of rain. And it will be a one stop from soft to the medium tyres. That won't be the issue today. The issue will be the man in red to the left of us behind us. Max Verstappen in second place. And I think Weber and the others, Stroll, Russell, the other Red Bull, Butler, will come through as well. I think the qualifying times were very much a glitch kind of thing. So this slipstream is going to be so powerful around here. I think we're going to have to play some very clever tactics, kind of almost like we did at Australia, race 1 of this season, where we stuck behind Verstappen. We might genuinely have to try and do that in the race and try and take the lead in the last few laps, potentially. I don't know. We're going to have to see how it goes. First and foremost, though, lap number 1, we'll just give it full bean. So here we go then to 5 red lights to the Belgium Grand Prix, a crucial race for us in the championship. 4 lights are out, and we're underway from pole position, and it is a slow start, unsurprisingly. Verstappen on the left, right around the outside. We don't, try and fight him too much into turn 1, because really this is the better place to be as we go down the crest, the subtle hill, and then up the hill through Rouge. This is the place to be down the Kemmel Straight. We want the slipstream off Verstappen there. Weber has already overtaken Leclerc and into third place there, so it's Renault 2-3, but here we go then in the toe of Verstappen there. It's very fine on the right hand side. Verstappen squeezes us a little bit onto the right, but we get the move done down the inside very late on the brakes indeed, as the rear end skits around a little bit. We get it done though, and we're into the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix once again. But as we move through until the end of lap number 1, we have a little issue here. If you look close enough at the heads-up display, you'll see my downforce for the front wing is 6. Now, I did not have a front wing of 6. I had a front wing of 3. I had three wings on this car because I wanted to compromise everything and make sure we had enough straight line speed. I think what's happened here, because I could tell on lap 1 through Sector 2 as well, I had way much more grip in Sector 2 than I did in qualifying, which shouldn't happen, of course, because we've got heavier fuel. I think my setup's been reset to a default setup for some reason through qualifying to the race. So we've apparently got a load of glitches happening to us now on the F1 game. For some random reason, in the last few days on this game, we go defensive with Verstappen. It works out for us. We maintain first place. Weber actually gets into second, which is not what I wanted there, but I inadvertently helped my teammate out get that position. But as Verstappen now fights back at Weber, round the outside into the bus stop on lap number 3 this is. Yeah, getting back to the issue at hand. Yeah, for some reason, I don't know why, I don't know how, the game has reverted my setup to a default setup for this Grand Prix. So we had the engine issue last race, we had the game crashing the race before, we've got this, I don't know what it is. There's been no patch on F1 2019. For some reason, the last week or so, my game has just been getting worse and worse, almost like it did back in F1 2018, which I thought we were going to avoid this entire game cycle, but it looks like it's coming back to bite us here. So for now, we're in first place, but having a default setup is going to make things even harder for us in a straight line now. And Verstappen now has just overtaken Weber back into second place. And Weber is actually going to get mugged off by Leclerc as well. Down the inside on the Haas there. The Haas looking very punchy indeed this episode. And he's up into third place there. So, yeah, we've got issues here. I think Verstappen's going to come at us at a rate of knots, to be honest. There's no way he's not going to. And we're going to have to do some very clever driving to make sure we can defend this first place here. And honestly, a large part of that defense may just be not defending at all here at Spa, because the slipstream is so powerful down towards the bus stop and also down this Kevlar straight that it may just be a good strategy to just let Verstappen overtake us like we've just done there and just stick behind him. I know I definitely have the downforce on him in Sector 2 now because I'm running 6.6 wings, not 3.3, but even with 3.3 I was confident the car would be better than the Ferrari in Sector 2, but now more than ever we've got the grip in the corners, apart from right through there on the left-hander as the dirty air kicks in there through Blanchimont, but into the bus stop, we're just going to sit behind Verstappen pretty much and just wait patiently for the DRS. There's no other way to really overtake him here because purely with slipstream and over ERS mode, I can't get him basically. That Ferrari is too quick. You can see he sets the boss after the Grand Prix then, so he's kind of trying to flex the muscles a little bit, but we're still well within 1 second there. We go up to hot lap mode. It will then eventually be overtake mode, of course, in once we get up the hill. My engineer asking me for a change of strategy. I say yes to that for lap number 10, that is, because I think we need to stretch these off as much as we can to make sure we're decent on the medium tires. But here we come then at a rate of knots. A little bit of fate to the left, go to the right, a little bit of contact made with the rear end as Verstappen's very late to move to the middle of the circuit. That he actually locks up then, and it's a massive mistake actually from the Dutchman. So we get the overtake done, back up into first, and whilst we do it, we fluster Verstappen there with a bad mistake in the brake zone. Meanwhile, this is Lucas Weber who's trying to re-overtake Leclerc around the outside up the hill. Oh my word, what a move there from Lucas Weber. What a move from an AI there. He went side by side with Leclerc through a Rouge up the hill, and he's going to get the job done with the DRS down the straight. What a fantastic, that might be the best overtake I've ever seen an AI do on this game in career mode. And so Weber is back up into P4 then. You may have missed it, but Lando Norris actually overtook him for P3. So Norris came out of nowhere, but we didn't get a replay camera of that. But Norris is in P3 and a pretty comfortable one in the McLaren. Meanwhile, we cut back to our POV then on lap number 8, and you can see there fine margins with defensive work. For now, we're keeping first place, but just by a whisker there as Verstappen had a little look on the inside. I had to correct my steering a little bit as I saw the proximity arrow go red. And so for the second time now in 2 laps, Verstappen comes knocking. This time on the outside there, we're defensive on the inside. It's a decent brake zone for us, but he's still got the nose in there. So he let off the throttle, leaving the room. But for now, we live to fight for another day, and we live to fight all the way till the pit stops. So Verstappen now comes in, as well as Lando Norris, as well as Lucas Weber. So all these guys are trying to get an undercut on myself, so we'll have to see if that works out for us. Hardware's not actually that bad around Spa, so the overcut should kind of be okay for us, but Verstappen here in the pit lane gets held by Weber, and also another car, and another! Verstappen held by 3 cars there in the pit lane, and so that surely means, yes, Lando Norris has completely jumped Verstappen, and look at that, Weber is now right up behind Verstappen, so that's crazy for the race then. So Norris will be in a net P2 then, and Weber will still be in P4, but he's going to be so much closer to P3. So could our teammate be creeping into a podium position once again, basically? It didn't look like. It looks like he kind of lost some pace in the first phase of the Grand Prix, but he's now right back in it. Meanwhile, we come in, struggling on the tyres on the in-lap. I can't lie. That left-hander into the pit lane entry was very close to hitting the wall. But we're now in for a set of medium tyres, the yellow wall, and so that'll see us through to the end of the Grand Prix. We should be comfortably ahead of first place, in first place, I think. I don't think we have to worry about that. It's more of a case of, is there any traffic? Has anyone stayed out potentially? Let's see as we come through then. The right-hander in first gear, Norris behind us, coming through turn 1 now, and there he is on the exit, so not to worry for us. We remain in first place, so we're in first from Norris in second, then Verstappen, Weber, and then I think it's Devin Butler, you know, who's creeped in here. Like I said, the Red Bulls would also come back, so that qualifying pace was really just not representative of what the pace was in the race, because here goes now Verstappen to overtake Norris, though, to get back into second place. But look behind there, in the distance, Weber sent it, and he's side by side with Lando Norris there. He's got it down the inside. It's a ding-dong battle between Norris and Weber, and he's really wanting this podium position potentially to try and keep the lead in the championship, keep that cushion he's got from our DNF last episode. And Weber's still at it, but Norris with a good defense there. But my word, Weber gave it a good old go from so far back down the Kemmel Straight. That was a massive dive bomb on Norris there, because Norris probably wasn't even thinking about Weber. He was just worried about Verstappen there, so they caught him napping a little bit. We now move on a few laps later then, or quite a few laps later actually, to lap number 18 then. 4 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Nothing much has happened till now in this Grand Prix as we go very defensive on Verstappen there. We had quite a decent gap to Verstappen before, but after 4 laps of just racing hard, Verstappen has caught us up, of course, because he's got the faster car. He's definitely in the faster car of the two this afternoon. It's just the fact that obviously you guys know I can defend quite well, and also in Sector 2, to be fair, our car is pretty decent there. Many laps I've been setting green for second sectors, but red in the first and third, and it's just because of that power difference, and also the fact that I'm running 6.6 default wings through no fault of my own. But here we go. We're now doing a textbook switchback move on Verstappen to try and retake the lead. Bit of a twitch of oversteer though, so Verstappen maintains the lead into turn 1. But like we said before, this might not be too bad of a place to be in, because I can just sit behind him, get the overtake done on the Kemmel Straight. So we just sit back. We've got overtake mode. We've got plenty of fuel to kind of play around with the rich mix there. And so we go through Rouge, up the hill, and then on the Kemmel Straight, even before the DRS is open, we'll start to get the toe off Verstappen there. Pull to the left. Verstappen really gives us a good old squeeze on the left-hand side there, but we get the job done, and we're back up into first place of the Belgian Grand Prix. And Weber, meanwhile, is battling Norris still for third place. So with only about 3 laps to go then, once again, it might just seem the top 3 people in the championship are the top 3 in the Grand Prix. Shock horror, but here comes Verstappen now. We've still got work to do. It's a very fine as we go to the left very late on. Verstappen ducks to the inside there. He's got it done, but we have a great brake zone in mid-corner to pull the car alongside, and we go wheel to wheel through all these corners coming up through the double right-hander, and we get the job done. Up into first place again, defensive on the inside. Verstappen has a look around the outside, but we've got the racing line, and the way the circuit's cambered there, we have the advantage, and we remain in first place. But for how much longer? Once again, at the end of that lap, Verstappen comes knocking. We're so poor under braking here compared to the AI, because they're just so fine and efficient into the bus stop there, but we maintain the first place. This time round, I'm feeling quite cheeky here, you know, into turn 1. Let's play the esports game here and go deep on purpose and just miss my brake zone a little bit. Verstappen gets it done, but of course I've got now the advantage, but we actually pull alongside Verstappen here on the left hand, and oh, Verstappen hits us. Verstappen pushes us left as we squeeze him to the wall. He was having none of it there, and he got very feisty indeed. The gloves are off, a bit of contact's being made, and so here we go now. It's a drag race down the Kemmel Straight. We've got the DRS though. We come very close to Verstappen on the right there, just showing him that, yeah, okay, we didn't find that contact, a little bit too kind there for first place, but we get the lead back in the GP, and meanwhile Norris is into third place, and it looks like, unfortunately for Weber, he's fallen back a little bit now from Lando Norris, and is actually now maybe defending against Devin Butler a little bit there, as now Sergio Perez sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix then, and so you can just see how much this kind of fighting slowed all of us down in terms of, you know, I had no chance to really try and just stretch my legs because I've been worrying about Verstappen behind me. But thankfully we get through to the end of the Grand Prix, the last lap through the last corner, and we will come home to win a very stressful Belgian Grand Prix ahead of Verstappen and Lando Norris.
Yes, you've done it. Well done.
Another win for the team at Renault today. Really impressive stuff. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
As we can see, it's time for the podium, and I can see the Renault team underneath our commentary box going crazy as their drivers walk out. It was a great win, and it means a great deal to this team.
So we do in fact get a very crucial win at the Belgian Grand Prix, pretty much a needed one after the DNF we had last episode, kind of almost like Austria to our French Grand Prix earlier on this season. So we are now back into second place of the championship, but still a very large margin behind Lucas Weber in first place there. Verstappen's not too far behind us, and also, to be fair, Butler, he's not too far off actually. If the Red Bull won a few races in a row with Butler at the wheel, he could be in the championship fight as well actually. Quite a late contender, maybe a dark horse for the championship potentially. Have to keep an eye on that, but for now it's still very much a three-way fight, I feel, between the two Renaults here and Verstappen's Ferrari car. Obviously Renault leading the constructors. Obviously myself and Weber have just been doing a great job consistently being in the kind of at least top 5 apart from my DNFs, but we've still got a lot of work to do. That's a lot of points still to make up in the championship, especially with the way things have been going in terms of me getting such bad luck and just also, you know, not performing as well against Weber and Verstappen. Like I've said, you know, those two have been giving me such a good fight. It's honestly been the hardest fight I've had so far in a career mode period on the channel, really, in terms of vanilla career mode. So it's been crazy, and hopefully you guys have been enjoying it at home. But for me, it's been very stressful, and this one was a big stress due to the fact we had default set up the entire race. So we somehow pulled it off, you know, making the most in Sector 2, and then, you know, try and be very clever in the slipstream with Sectors 1 and 3. So guys, if you did enjoy that episode, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do subscribe for weekly follow-on content. I've been aarava. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.